In this video, I am going to show you how to macrame a plant hanger that looks like this. So we are going to be learning 3 different knots. We will begin with the gathering knot, and then we will be making vertical alternating lark's head knots, which are these right here. And then we will do a few square knots and end with a gathering knot. So to begin, I am using a 2-inch metal ring, and then I have 6 pieces of braided macrame cord cut 150 inches. You want to make sure you have them even, and then place all 6 pieces through your ring. And you're going to continue to pull until you reach the halfway point. Once you have your cord placed evenly over the ring, go ahead and straighten them out just a bit. So those 6 pieces will turn into 12. And now we are going to add our gathering knot. So to do that, I have a 30-inch piece of cord cut. I'm going to place 2 inches, so basically the entire size of the ring, like this. And then I'm going to bring that piece up into a loop. And I'm going to pinch it with my left thumb, holding it in place. And then I like to wrap to my left. So I'm going to take that loose piece and tightly wrap it, making sure that you do not cover this piece. And then I'm going to use my thumb to guide each one so that it stays nice and neat and stacks right below each other. So you want to make sure that you wrap this at least 6 times. And if your cord is long enough, then you can do a few extras. Okay, that looks good right there. You want to make sure you do not cover the loop. So you're going to take the tail end and place it through that loop like this. Pull it down. Now you will take this top piece and pull it up. So when you pull that up, this will start to knot. So you want to continue to pull until that knot is halfway in between your gathering knot. So just continue to pull up. And you can kind of feel and see that it's there. Then I take both ends, so both pieces like this, and pull tight to make sure that it's a nice tight knot. And then go ahead and trim off these excess pieces. So what I like to do is trim the bottom piece first, get as close as you can like that. And then a little trick I have is to pull this up gently just a little bit, and that just tucks that away so that that piece doesn't show at the bottom. And then go as close as you can at the top. And then you take your scissors and very carefully just push it back down. And that will make sure that your gathering knot looks nice and clean. Next, we're going to divide our 12 cords into 3 sections of 4 cords each. So just take 4 closest to each other, like this. And you can, if you want, get the rest and kind of just push it over to the side. These 2 are your working cords. Your center 2 will stay long because you're not actually using them at this point. So these 2 will end up being a little bit shorter. So what I'm going to do is start on the left side. I'm going to loop that piece like this over the 2 center. I pinch with my left thumb. Then I'm going to bring it behind the center. And now I switch my hand, and now I'm pinching it with my right thumb because I need to pull this through that loop, and I need to pull it to the left. So if you need to pull to the left, you should be using your left hand. If you need to pull to the right, use your right hand. And then you want to gently bring it up. And however tight you make it, try to do the same thing the whole time so that your tension stays the same. Now that's just the first half. Now we need to take the same cord, and this time we're going to go behind. Pinch with my left, go over the top, switching my hand. Now I have my right there, and I'm going to pull through that loop with my left. Gently bring it up. And now that is 1 full vertical lark's head knot. So now I'm going to take that 4th piece, the one on the right, and I'm going to repeat the process just on the right side. So I'm going to take it and loop it over the center 2 like this and pinch. Now I'm going to push it behind the 2 center and pinch now with my left hand, and I'm pulling through with my right hand because I'm pulling it to the right. Gently bring it up. Next, I'm going to place it behind those 2 center, pinch. Now bring it to the right, switch fingers like this, and pull it through to the right. And that completes that side. So make sure that you go over first and then under. You will know you completed the full knot if you see these two little pieces with this little notch here on the side. So you have to go over and under to do one full knot. So now I'm back to the left side, and again, I'm only using those two center cords. Wrap it around, pull through, bring it up, go behind, wrap it around, pull through, bring it up. Now back to the right, wrap it over, go through, now go to the back and pull through. And as you can see, these little loops are forming, and it's really pretty. It gives it kind of like a chain effect. I really think it's a pretty design. So just remember again that you have to keep your tension very similar so that it looks even on both sides. Now I'm going to repeat this until I have at least 16 on both sides. So this is how I'm counting: 1, 2. So I'm going to make a few more, and then I will count them again and show you. So now you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of counting the exact number, so try to get around 16, but I basically am making this so that it's 10 inches long, and that is measuring from when I start my knotting all the way down after the gathering knot. So I'm going to continue doing this, and then I will show you what to do next. Okay, so I have 16 on this side and 17 on this side, but I do want to say, because everyone's tension is very different, I wouldn't so much focus on how many you have, but more than anything, with the length that I gave you, the 150 inches, I would say make sure this is 10 inches. So one thing to look out for, because you might be using different material as well. So if you're not using 5mm braided, it would also be different. So you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on your two working cords. You don't want them to get too short. So right now I can see that I have plenty. But if yours look like they're getting really short, then you might want to stop, because you want to make sure you have enough room to do the bottom part of your plant hanger. It's just something to keep in mind as you're making it. But again, this is about 10 inches long. So now what we're going to do is repeat this on the other two sections. So now I'm going to take my next 4 pieces next to each other and do the same thing. So to start, I'm just going to use these 3 and then just repeat the process. So I will have a kit available for this if you're interested. It will have everything that you need pre-cut and ready to go. It will be linked in the description box below. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this all the way down until, again, I have 10 inches, and then I will do the same thing to the last 4 cords. Okay, all three are done and they are pretty even. So before I continue, I just wanted to say that these are even, but if it meant that you needed to end on the opposite side for it to become even, that's totally fine. They don't have to all end on the same side, just as long as they're even. And now we are going to skip 2 inches and we are going to do 3 square knots. But if you think that your cord is looking a little bit short, your working cords, then you don't have to do 3. You could just place 1 square knot. So a good thing to do when you're following a tutorial is to maybe always give yourself an extra foot or 2 of cord to account for everyone's tension and everything being different. So again, I'm using 150 inches with 5mm braided. So if you're using 4mm single strand, you should be fine. But if you were going to use, let's say, a 6 or a 9mm, then you would probably want to go 160, 170 inches. So now what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to skip 2 inches. So let me try to be pretty accurate for you here. So about here, we are going to make a square knot. So and that's using those same 4 cords that we were already using. To make a square knot, you are going to still work with those 2 working cords. You are going to begin with placing the right over those 2 center and pinch with your right hand. Then you're going to take that left piece, and notice how I have my finger out with that cord out. It's because I want to give myself that gap. So that left one goes over that, but not crossing over the center, just placing it directly over that piece. Then I'm going to push it to the back behind all of the cords, and you'll notice the right is on the front and that left piece is in the back. And I switched my hands because I need to pull it to the right, so that means I'm pinching them now with my left hand to pull through with my right. And then I'm going to gently bring it down, make sure my tension falls nice and even. So one thing to keep in mind is because you're not knotting against something else, like I'm not going right off of this one, it's more floating basically. You have to be really careful at this point how you tighten it, because if you go too rough with it, it could end up making this messed up. So once you do that, you're going to now take the left and go over the 2 center and pinch. Again, keep that gap because the right is going to go over that piece. Now push it to the back, switch your hands, and now pull through to the left. And then I'm going to gently, I use my hand to kind of guide it all for this first one, tighten it. And you want to make sure you're pulling this way and not like that or any other way. Pull out to the sides so that that knot stays nice and straight. So now I'm going to repeat that 2 more times to get 3 square knots. So this is 1 full square knot. So let's say you walk away and you don't remember which side you're on. Every time you see this notch right here, that little piece, that means you're on that side. So that means I'm going to be on my right side. So again, take that right, cross over the 2 center, pinch, leave that gap, bring that left piece over that, push it to the back and switch your hands, pull through to the right, and then bring it up. It's a lot easier now because you're going against that other knot. So just pull it up and tighten it. Take the left, go over the 2 center and pinch, place the right over that piece, push it to the back, pull through to the left. So now I can see I have 2 square knots. Now I'm going to do 1 more. And you will also know if you're on the wrong side, because if you do the same side twice, that's how you make a spiral knot and it will start to actually turn. So now I'm going to repeat this process on these 2 sections and I'll be right back. I thought I would show you just one of them. So what you want to do is that same process, but when you bring it up, you just want to gently go real slow and make sure that it's even with the rest of them before you continue. Looks good. So now I can do the rest real quick. You want to make sure that you're looking at these right here. Make sure they're not like sticking out. So you want that tension to be nice and flat. If it's flat, they'll go nice and flat. But sometimes they kind of like pucker out to the sides if you tighten this first one too tight without making sure that your tension stays nice and even. Okay, so that was my last one. All three look good. So those were 2 inches. Now I'm going to measure down 3 inches. So what we're going to do at this point is we are going to connect them. So what we need to do is take 2 from each section. Let me fix my camera to show you. So we have them side by side. So we're going to take 2 from this side, 2 from this side, and connect them. Okay, so again, go down about 3 inches, and we are going to do another square knot. Now you'll notice that that was a longer pull. That's because I'm using those center cords now. Those center ones will be much longer than your working cords. So I need to gently just let it go, check that tension, make sure it's nice and flat and smooth, and then continue with the left side. And all we're doing is 1. And then gently tighten it. Okay, now you will have 2 remaining on this section, and we are going to connect it to 2 on this section. Make sure that you're checking that these are flat and straight so that when you're connecting them, they are not crisscrossed over or twisted up in any way. So I have 2 from here, 2 from here. Same thing, place a square knot. And just do the best you can to make it as even as possible. I think that looks good. Let me actually, I think I go down just a little bit. Okay. Okay, that looks good. So now I have the final one. So you can also take your work off your hook if that's what you're working on, turn it over so that you're working with the cords right in front of you. So I have these last 4 pieces. So this is what we're doing right here. We're connecting them. So now I have 2 from here, 2 from here, and that's it. Then they'll be connected. So another square knot. Okay, they look pretty even to me. So now all we need to do is add another gathering knot, the one we did at the top, about 1 inch or so down. So if you had a really large pot and you wanted to make this bigger, you could make this part. So we did 3 inches. You can go down to like 5 or 6, kind of measure with your pot to make this opening larger. And then the gathering knot, again, I'm putting right here. But if you have a larger pot that you're using, measure first. So you could always just grab a pot, and this one is like 6 inches, maybe a little bit more on top, so it's probably bigger on the sides. You could just put your pot in there and then kind of measure your placement where you want it to be, and then that's how you'll know how far down to go. So again, this is a larger pot, so if I was using a smaller one, it would probably go up a bit. So I do recommend always placing a pot there first just to kind of measure it. Okay, so you're going to need a second cord, cut 30 inches, just like we did at the top. I grab them all in my left hand and I am right-handed. Then I'm going to place that piece over it and kind of push that tail into the middle just to get it out of my way. So then you're going to give it a loop, pinch, and then just wrap it. Again, make sure you wrap it at least 6 times. This is the one that's going to be holding your plant, so you want to make sure that this is nice and tight and secure. Now I'm going to get the tail, place it through the top of the loop, find that piece, that top piece, and pull up. And keep pulling until it's halfway through. Now once you have it in the middle, make sure you grab both ends and pull to tighten. Now I don't have to trim off that bottom piece because it's long like the other cords. If yours is really short, then trim that off. So now all I need to do is trim off this top piece. And then get my scissors and carefully push this in. And then you can leave this as long as you would like. Some people like to add different knots at the bottom. You can do little braids, you can put beads, you can do whatever you want. So I like to leave mine a little bit longer, and sometimes I like to leave them uneven, but it's totally up to you. So for this, I'm going to actually just trim them as short as the shortest piece. So about here. And then you will have a ton of extra cord, really long pieces, and that's those center cords because you're not using them for most of this project. So these are great to save. You can make a lot with these. You can make bookmarks, keychains, possibly a little wristlet. You might even be able to make like a little mini plant hanger with it. So definitely keep your scraps. Okay, and here is my plant hanger. Let me go ahead and put a plant in it to show you how pretty it is. Okay, and here's my plant hanger. That is a 6-inch pot. And if you want, you can make this go down just a little bit more if you want these to show up on the side a little bit more, or if you want your plant to fall into it just a bit more. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.